Welcome everyone to Rob's MetalWorks. Tonight we are going to embark on a journey of brutality. Yes, with one of the youngest bands ever to be on our program, and also one of the most brutal. I have with me the Ragers. You people know them. They are called Meridian. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having us. It's an honor to be here. To be on, like, it's blowing my mind to hear you lead us in like that. Like, I'm astounded right now.
Welcome, Dan.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, Rob.
No.
Pleasure to be here, man.
We're just getting started.
No, it means a lot. Can't wait to get started, yeah.
We appreciate it, Rob. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Lots to talk about. And you guys know I've been a fan of your band for quite some time already. And but there's going to be some people out there. Remember, people all over the world follow Rob. So I'm getting high on the fact that there's so many people outside of San Antonio who are going to get to know the brutality of Meridian. So let's get started. Initially, we have to take it back. I said one of the youngest bands to be in our program because you guys have only been around for like a year now, right? Or maybe a little over a year as Meridian. So let's talk first about the formation of this band.
All right. So we kind of started as another band. We had another project we were working in. That's where I met Daniel. Josh, I drag him with me in every band that I've ever been in. So we've been jamming for about 15 years. And if I get in something, I'm like, yo, I got a bassist. Don't even look for anybody. And Daniel and me, we said we wanted to start a project that kind of was like everything we ever thought about doing, all the shit that you dream about doing. If you've thought about doing it, we were going to do it. It wasn't going to be like, oh, we're going to talk about it. No, in this band, it was all about doing it.
Right.
And he told me he found Greg, which was like, what? Like, this dude, like, one of Greg's first shows was with us. Like, he got to, like, really get on stage. He had never been on stage before. So this,
oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, Greg is really new to, like, the music scene, especially in the whole life of it.
Wow.
So we were, like, man, anxious to get him on stage. And we met our drummer, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. But, I mean, we met him, and, man, I mean, we just vibed. Like, it felt like we were talking to girls when we first started talking, man. Because we'd be like, what kind of music you like? Oh, I like Iron Maiden. Oh, bro, what about this? And we were just sharing music that we all liked, and I mean, grew up listening to. And even like, oh, man, I like Coolio. It's like, oh, yeah, I like that one too, man. And so it was really a vibe, and we got to know each other before we even jammed. Like, we talked for maybe 5 weeks just getting to know each other as musicians. So when we came together, like the first jam that we came together, like I want to say 2 songs got written in the first practice that we ever had as musicians.
That's cool. Yeah.
And that's kind of what's kept the momentum. Like you say, we're a new band, but it's like that's how it feels for us too. Like we can't believe like how much is being accomplished so quickly.
Yeah.
And the support, I mean, tremendous organic support. I mean, we're so new, we haven't even really gotten to get our following going, and there's
You guys don't even have a record out.
yeah, and we have people, you that just find us and embrace us, and we embrace y'all back, and having that push behind us is like, man, it keeps our flame lit. Like we can't let it down,
Yeah, it's been exciting because I've seen, I've been to your shows, I've seen the people jamming out to your music, and I think that's where it all kind of begins. So, and I think you made a good point because the chemistry, undoubtedly as people is important on the back end, because if you have a dude in your band and you don't get along with them, or you're not jiving, you're not on the same wavelength, then, that's just a road to demise. It's going to be a very short-lived thing. So I think you guys did it right. So once the band was together with Greg, what was kind of like the vision musically? I kind of, you guys are pretty heavy and brutal, so and I like that. But obviously, we all have our own influences. So was that kind of like the vision, like just let's come out and do something heavy?
Do you want to take some piece? I don't want to hog it up.
Yeah, so myself, Paul, and Josh from our previous project, when that kind of fizzled out, we had talked, and our goal was to just be a little bit heavier than what we were in that previous project. And, we took it from there. Each one of these guys, Greg, John, our drummer, they were handpicked. Yeah. They're really handpicked. We were on an uptick with our last project, and from there, when we formed this band, we wanted to just kind of keep that momentum going, and so we really kind of sought after John. We sought after Greg. I'd known Greg. He was a mutual friend of mine, and
The whole thing was like, I think really we wanted to be a stunner. Like, we all have been in projects. We know how to do this. Like, so when we came forward, we're like, we're not worried about the shows yet. We're not worried about none of that. Let's write the music.
Right.
Let's let the music write itself. And every one of us brings different elements. So we didn't know how we were going to sound. Like, that was the hardest thing, is we didn't know how heavy we were going to be. Like, I was a really, really black metal vocalist. I sang about a lot of death and cryptic stuff in my prior things. And coming into this, I really don't sing about that very much. The music shaped me. Like, these guys, the writing became so melodic. Like, it's not just heavy, but there's something catchy in it that drives you to bob your head. And that's really what motivated me to write things that build on that energy. I didn't want to write like sappy, sad songs while these guys are like playing these cool melodies that are making people move, and I'm gonna bring that energy down. So I had to like embrace this kind of party mentality, this feel-good mentality, this live for the moment, live for the now, but be real. Like,
Right.
I don't want to write about aliens in outer space anymore. I want to write about what I feel on a Friday night, what I feel on a Saturday night, like what we feel as people going through our daily motions and stuff.
Right.
And the music just kind of comes, man. Like, Daniel is a guru when it comes to riffs, and like, he just comes with like a whole damn song written. Like, it's insane. Like, every practice he's like, all right, I got 2 more, and we're like, bro, we haven't even finished like the last 2. What are you doing to us? And me musically, yeah, that was like something for me that I was like, man, I'm falling behind as a singer. I got the like, I don't want to say the easiest job, but I got the easiest job. But writing quality stuff to the quality music became something for me. So I'd write a song and be like, hey, this song is going to be about a samurai and a horse. And they'd be like, all right, cool. 2 weeks later, I'd be like, all right, so scratch the samurai. It's about a guy who's just really, really tired of life. And then 2 weeks later, the song, I mean, it just shapes itself to what feels good, what feels right, you know. And we wrote damn near the whole EP before we played a show. We had our merch before we played a show. We weren't planning on coming out for like another 3 months, because we were like, we're gonna have merch, we're gonna have scrims, we're gonna have lights, we're gonna have a whole show to put together, not just music to perform. And man, these guys, everything, every bar I set for them, they blow through it, dude.
Right.
Like, I can't set anything high enough.
That's really cool, because you always have to have key guys in your band, and everybody kind of knows their role, you know. I think you said a couple of interesting things there. First of all, it's good to hear that you guys are kind of seamlessly writing these songs, and they're coming together pretty quickly. And you're kind of taking care of business on the back end too. I always tell bands, I mean, man, you got to take care of stuff on the back end, and build relationships in the scene. And people have really come on board. I think the songs speak for themselves. I think metal fans especially kind of know, real shit, like the word that you use, like real stuff, and they can connect with it. You guys have been kind of playing shows. So what's kind of, how do you feel like the reception's been? I mean, I've been to a few of the shows, and I've seen great reception from people.
Again, man, just mind blowing. The amount of the amount of support, the amount of like, I mean, everybody gives you high fives when you're in this scene.
Yeah.
But I mean, to have musicians come up to you and say like, dude, don't go nowhere else. Like, you found your home. Like, don't let these guys go. Like, we have so many people that even like when we do patio shows, we did the patio at the White Rabbit reunion, and I was like, you know what, we're gonna play the patio, let's go beach theme. Like, we're gonna put shorts on, I'm gonna make us some shirts, we're gonna put straw hats on, have like balloons, like things to throw out. And people really responded to that.
Every show's been pretty unique in its own right. Every show, every opportunity we've gotten, we've tried to bring something fresh to the table that nobody else is doing. Live. Whether it's a theme, dry ice to the last one, man. It's just every show, man. We try to come with something different, something fresh, something for the people, for the fans to see, man. So
people, man, like we the cost like is ridiculous to the return. Like we do this just for the fun. Like yeah. I mean but it's not about the cost. At this point, it's just about us going out there and having a good time. It's the crowd's gonna enjoy it if they enjoy it. But for us, it's like, hey man, I've always wanted to do this, so let's give this shit a shot. Let's see what happens here. You know what I mean?
And I think at this point you have a good team, you have a good band, and this is the band that's going to do it. So now I think it's an exciting time, and I've been talking with Dan for a while, and I wanted to kind of do this interview right kind of when we had something exciting to talk about, and you guys are on the brink of kind of releasing your first recorded music into the scene, and I think that's so cool because when you release a piece of music, a recording, it's eternal. It represents who you are, and it's going to live on in our historical scene forever. So it's a representation of who you are, and that's a pretty fucking serious thing. And I've been privy to hear the tracks. Dan sent me 4 of the 5 tracks. We'll talk later about why I didn't get number 5. Or maybe not. But I love it, man. So let's talk about the EP that will be forthcoming later on in the next few months. Hopefully it'll be out. It's going to be No Last Call. No Last Call. And some of you who follow me on social media saw the artwork I posted tonight, so thanks, Dan, for sending it to me. We debuted it to the public, and there's this guy at the bar, and he looks pretty sorrowful, and someone's offering him a drink. Look at the artwork, people. Look at the artwork. And I really am anticipating this to hit the market and for people to kind of really hear it. So all the fans who have supported you live are now going to be able to jam the music on their computers and on their phones. So let's talk about the recording. Tell the people out there what can they anticipate from the No Last Call EP.
Starting out, we got to thank Brandon over at Interval Audio Recording because that's where we got this work done at.
Thanks, Brandon.
So thank you, Brandon, for all the hard work and pushing us to our best. With No Last Call, the whole song, the whole CD it follows a vibe, and it's raw and it's real and it's party and it's my city and it's everything that, like, when I look outside my window, I kind of see throughout my life. You know what I mean? The title track, No Last Call, is just that. You're going out tonight and you're going to get blasted and there's no last call for you in your mind. And you don't know if you're going to wake up tomorrow, but tonight damn well you're going to have a good time. Exactly, man. And that's what it's all about, because I always say that, there's always been rock and roll, but in the 60s and 70s they added sex and drugs to it and it made it real fun. And that's the realest thing that I wanted to capture in that song. Was I wanted it to feel like, hey man, I'm not thinking about nothing tonight. I'm just going. And sometimes we hit that wall. Like in life knocks you down, cuts your legs out, things unexpectedly happen to you, and that's the guy in the bar who's sitting there broken, tired, hitting his wall. And then temptation's always there in every shape and form that you can see it. There's temptation there. And man, sometimes you take that shot and you don't know where it's going to lead you, and sometimes it's a good place and sometimes it's a not so good place. But yeah, man, that's kind of with the No Last Call, that's where we're going.
Yeah. Dan sent me the very first track, I think that was done. That was the 40,000 days.
40,000 feet.
40,000 feet. I love that song, man. Love that song. And I think one of the things that I first kind of realized about it was that it was like really, really well done. The production on it was well done. What was the experience like kind of recording? Did you have any difficulties? I'm not familiar, with Brandon, so talk a little bit about the process and things like that.
So the hardest thing coming in was we were moving really fast, and we wrote these 2 songs, and within a week we were like, we're gonna go to the studio. Right. So I had lyrics, but I really didn't know how I was gonna scream the song. I had never performed the song. I didn't know how we were gonna lay it down. And we got into the studio, and Brandon is a stickler for precision. I mean, it's like tune every note, make sure every note is tuned correctly before you move on to the next section. Hey, Paul, can you go 2 seconds longer and go at the end of that P there? And it's like, yeah, let me scream as hard as I could possibly scream and get that sound at the end there for you. But I mean, he pushed me to it, and I mean, he really saw what our capabilities were and was like, I'm not gonna take any less than what I know you can do. And I mean, going in, we started the song and hearing it for the very first time, hearing us for the very first time. I mean, it's such a surreal moment when
Produced professional recording.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Troy Glesner actually was the last who did our final mix and mastering and everything on there. So thank you, Troy, for that as well. It just, when we heard it, it's like, oh my God, this is us. Like, now what do we do with all of this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you see this song and it's like, how do you follow this?
Right.
That's the hardest thing.
Well, go ahead, Dan.
No, yeah, I was gonna say, man, like when we heard our rough mixes, we're like, holy shit, like, is this us? You know, like it was that good. You know, he's very meticulous producer, an engineer. You know, he's a master at his craft for sure, and man, he really brought out the best in us.
On the songs,
And he really pushed us, man.
World War II was what was in my head at the time, you know, and I try to imagine, like, if somebody was up fighting,
Yeah.
and they're going down, I mean, that's really what I was thinking about. And you hear it, I say, you know, bombs bursting all around me. I feel the hot lead as it's passing me by.
Yeah.
Bullets blazing. Like, I mean, that's cockpit. And what I did was I watched a lot of History Channel, and I listened to interviews they were doing with World War II pilots. And one of my grandfather's, his friends was a World War II pilot. I remember stories growing up, what he would tell me. And I tried to put a lot of that memory, that feeling, that fear. And a lot of them would keep their little sweetheart on the little like speedometer, whatever it is,
Sure.
the gauges and stuff, and that's my angel, or you here to save me, like, are you here to take me away? Like, that's the last thing he's looking at before
Right.
he's done. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's like a lot of capture there.
Yeah, man, going in, we really didn't know what to expect. I think it was a lot of our first times really kind of in like an official studio with somebody who really knew what he was doing.
Right.
And man, it was crazy. Like, he's so meticulous and so on point with his work. I mean,
Even the
we
retro stuff,
were going, we were redoing open notes just to get open notes like tight and clean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I
just
learned the solo in the studio. So yeah, like going to that, I had an idea of what I wanted to do for the solo for that song.
Right.
But going into that, and after playing it a couple times with Brandon, he was like very meticulous, very methodical. So he was like, "Hey, it would be cool if you did this." So I was like, "All right, try it." I couldn't do what
Is he a musician too?
he plays guitar, but
Yeah.
he has a really good ear for what sounds good.
Right.
Very it's very objective, I guess, if you could say. Like, it's very
Sure.
you know, it's very, you know, he has a good ear for what sounds good. And he was like, yeah, it'd be cool if you could do this and this. Of course I couldn't do it, but he's a master of his craft. So yeah, he pushed me, and through his trickery and me playing things a little bit slower, I basically had to relearn my solo after that day. I learned the solo that night.
Yeah.
And then once I learned it, it was, you know, it sounds great. It sounds great. The final product was amazing, and it just complimented you.
Yeah, after
too.
going through Brandon, you really learn your songs.
He
Like,
runs you through the gauntlet.
like, it's like, oh, that's how I should be performing this. Like, all right, guys. Hey, what we did in the studio, the stop. Let's do that. Let's do that live.
We were jamming to the record before we started this interview to kind of get us pumped up about what we're talking about. The Way You Move, I think, is my second favorite song on the EP. I love that track. I like kind of the subtleties of it, and then how it kind of breaks into some heaviness. We were talking off camera about the introduction, the guy who's talking. Share a little bit about that, and why did you kind of decide to put that in? Who is that guy?
That's Alan Watts. He was a big-time professor, speaker on sociology and psychology, philosopher in the 1920s and 30s. And really, the song's about sex when it comes down to it. And that's what his whole speech was there. Greg came to us, and he's like, look, man, I know what this song's about, and I think we should put this at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you know what? And Daniel's like, I'm gonna put some guitar behind that. So it just the day we recorded that song is when we put that snippet in front of it.
Cool.
And it was like, once we heard it through, it's like, oh man, what we were like, oh, he's talking about love, and we're talking about sex, and I was like, it works. It works. Yeah, and he talks about the risk.
Right.
And that's what I think everybody's felt at a bar when you see a hot chick and you're like, man, I kind of want to talk to her, but if I get rejected, it's going to suck.
Yeah.
And that's that risk of jumping off that I hear in
Sure.
that beginning intro. And I felt that. And I was like, you know what, man? And what I'm going for in this song, it needs to be in there. It really does.
Life's a risk, carnal.
Yeah.
Any relationship you go through, right? It's a
Where's
risk.
that from, Cruz?
Yeah.
So, Greg, were you do you follow this philosopher guy?
Yeah, I'm a big I love studying philosophers, and I'm a psychology major, so if I could have another major, it probably would be philosophy, and I just love hearing other people's way of thought and way of thinking, and then with the vibe with Daniel's riff and everything is just like there has to be a sample. There has to be something that follows that goes into that goes into this.
I know, we changed that riff up. So the
Yeah.
riff originally was inspired by the Amadeus. Like, yeah, so Daniel was playing it, and I was like, wait. I was like, Amadeus. I was like, take that roots.
Everybody like.
Yeah, take the roots from that, pull this out, play this part, and we just chopped that up.
This was one of those things like. So we were at practice. We were in between songs that we already had written, and it was just downtime, and I'm just jamming this riff, that dun 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 dun, and they're like, "Hold up, run that back, play that again," and I'm like, "What? What you just did?" And I'm like, "Nah, that's nothing, man. Like that's not us, like, And they're like, "No, that let's work with that." And so that's kind of how it came about, man. Like it was just kind of one of those riffs that was just in between. I was just jamming some stuff that I had, and everybody was on the same page. Everybody, like literally everybody was like, "No, run that back. Let's work with that." And so everybody collaborated on that one based off of that initial riff, and everybody had a piece in writing that song. So
I love that. I love that track, and I really can't wait for all the people out there to hear it. So, the artwork I released the artwork today to the public. When do you anticipate for this EP to finally kind of be out? When would you like for it to be out?
So we're aiming to release on 420. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a goal for us to release the EP completed on 420. We're gonna have a full cover, front, back, master copy.
Are you gonna make hard copies available?
Yeah, we're gonna make hard copies, and we've even been talking about doing vinyl press, like a special limited vinyl press for the release and stuff like that. So we have a lot on our plate. So some people were like, "Hey man, y'all ain't been playing a lot of shows," and it's because we have to sacrifice sometimes playing shows to be able to do the studio time, to be able to design these things, to be able to get the artwork, wait for the artist to come back. There's a lot of back end stuff that nobody even probably realizes goes into us doing this, man, and that's what's been going on these last couple months is just all this planning, anticipation.
It takes time and money, and planning is vital. Don't rush it if you don't have to. I thought the record would be out before April 20th, but if that's the date to do it right, then by all means, do your thing. Exciting, and I think once the EP comes out and people hear these tracks, I think the following for Meridian will continue to grow and grow. So once the EP is out, what is the plan after that? Do you see I know you guys play San Antonio periodically. Would you like to kind of venture out? I mean, is that something that you want to do?
So that's
Josh, you kind of...
yeah. Go.
Going to different cities and maybe doing small runs has always been like something that we want to do. But with everybody with their schedules and stuff like that, we really have to wait and like plan out that ahead of time. Definitely something that we want to do. The fact that we're all clicked together and we all get along so well that we know what everybody wants to do, and we know what everybody's like pretty much capable of being able to go out and do. So playing different cities is definitely on the list. When we share and promote stuff, we're always sharing to like out of town venues.
Yeah.
We're trying to get somewhat of a following in different cities, so that way when we actually do get out there, we'll have somebody that'll be out there and jam with us.
And then too, the whole thing is like we wanted to do all the thank you, sir. We wanted to do all the back end work, so whenever we get to come out with this EP, we just get to have fun. Like it's no more having to think about shirt designs and having to think. We want to have all that done. So and it's just
And
time
then you
to
can focus on the show.
exactly.
That's,
Focus on the
that's
show.
when we get
That-
to go out
that-
and start having the fun part after all the hard work is done, getting everything ready.
Yeah.
That was our main thing was like let's do the work so we can have the fun. Like,
Yeah,
and that's been
yeah.
the focus.
And I think part of that kind of work is kind of getting the music out there. You guys have released a couple of videos. One of them was a lyric video, and then you guys did a live kind of like a performance kind of video. For the title track, very cool. You like doing the videos? Is that something that you feel is still kind of important to kind of help with not only the share the music, but kind of the message of who you guys are as a band?
I think it really does. I think that like the video gives the people something to attach to. Like when you hear a song, you can give it 1,000 different like meanings, but when you see what the band puts out in a music video, you might understand what they're really trying to do with it. Ruben from Upon a Burning Body was who shot our music video for No Last Call.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Thank you very much, Ruben. His very first time doing work, and you wouldn't have guessed that. Like he's like, hey man, I want to work with some bands. We got the capability of working with him, and it was like, man, what he could do with a garage, like, because I was shot in a garage.
Right.
What he could do with a garage and a couple bits of lighting and us providing some smoke effects.
Some beers.
95% of that smoke may have been CBD or not CBD. But yeah, so I mean, just the music videos I think are a huge aspect. I loved it. I had a lot of fun. Getting to see these guys, getting to see him pour a beer in his face, like
Yeah, man.
Into his mouth.
I mean, those are the kinds of things that as like a brother and as a family, it's important to share together, man. And even just like. Again, when you finally get to see the finished product, now it's not just the music. Now there's a whole thing to it. There's a video, and you see the emotion, and you feel the emotion, like, and it just adds to it. It's just a buildup of it all, man. So we have more music videos in the planning.
Oh, cool.
More coming out. So yeah. So we're in the works.
You know where my vote's at. Oh gosh. Yeah. So. Things are going to be coming, as fast as time seems to be going by these days. Before we know it, we'll be in the summer and then in the fall. Lots of great things happening for you guys, and I'm glad to hear that you're planning and strategizing for Meridian's dominance in our scene. I think you guys could be a really powerful band as long as you kind of continue to stay focused, because the music itself, I think, speaks volumes. I mean, I jam y'all's EP all the time, and I'll be frank in saying that. Now, you guys are part of the San Antonio scene, and as you know, long heritage in our city. When you think about, your kind of how you have kind of been maneuvering through the scene with regards to venues or working with other bands or, whatever you need to do to solidify your place in our scene. Has it kind of been a challenge, or do you kind of feel like things are good in the San Antonio scene? I mean, I've worked with bands, for the last 25 years, and sometimes I hear good things, and sometimes I hear not so good things. And I think now, I don't want to kind of influence your response, but I think now things are kind of good. I think that.
I think a lot of it comes down to it's all what you make of it. If you want to make it a bad show, it's gonna be a bad show.
Yeah.
But if you go in there saying like I'm gonna make this a good show, I don't care if it's on a weekday, I don't care if it's not the stage I wanted. I'm gonna go out there and make people see me. When you go in with that mentality, you really can't lose in the scene. And I do agree, like the whole thing, like Vernon of Persia, we were there supporting them the other night. We have a lot of friends in the scene, and when we're there to play those shows, we stay till the end. We cheer for them.
Right.
We're in that
Support
crowd. I always say support your local scene. When I'm on stage, I'm like, thank everybody who's here. Thank you all the bands who are here. It really comes down to them, because without them showing up to the venues, without them packing the house, we don't have nobody to play for. and that really came for us like an inspiration to change up what's going on currently, to kind of try to see what other people are doing and see what we could do to make people say, hey, you know what, I'm going to the Meridian show this weekend, because those dudes, I never know what the hell they're gonna do.
Yeah, for sure. You know, as new as we are, I think we feel right at home in the scene. A lot of our friends and, you know, other bands that are out there and the promoters that are out there, they've made us feel right at home. JC Productions, RC Productions, Twin Productions, I mean, you name it. All those guys have made us feel right at home, and, you know,
Making friends, man. Like,
it is.
It all comes down to who you know sometimes in this game.
The scene is doing good, and the support is definitely there. And those guys that I just mentioned, man, they break their backs to bring these shows to San Antonio, and they do a damn good job. And we really, really appreciate them for everything that they do for us to put us on. Nocturnal Promotions.
I mean, there's so many that we can sit here and name, man, that have given us a chance and given us an opportunity to do what we do.
Completely thankful, man. Completely grateful. Because really, literally, man, without them, I mean,
We don't have
we don't have a platform to go up there and do what we do. You know what I mean? So.
Sure. That's great. I'm glad you kind of dropped some names there, because, yeah, there are some significant people in there, like Erica from Twin, who's been doing her thing for a long, long time. And my sister, she's awesome. Well, cool, guys. You know, I'm glad that you have positive things to say. I mean, you know, sometimes, you know, we meet some shady people, and you know, you live and you learn, and you move forward. But I think for the most part, you know, our scene at this point, even though it's, you know, there's so many different genres of heavy music, that I think we all just want the same. You know, we want to fucking be successful. We want to work hard and really kind of live our lives, extend our lives through the passion of what we do. You guys do that through music. I do that through Rob's. You know, we that's what keeps us alive and going, you know, despite the mundane of what we do for work and to pay our bills, you know. Yeah, all the other shit that we do. Yeah, you know, God, you know, why can't we just do this, you know, all the time? But, you know, that's great. And I think you guys have great momentum right now. And, you know, I wanted to kind of jump on board and be a part of it, because I really believe in the band. I believe in your music. I love the tracks. And I think you said something very important. Dan, you said something very important. And I think the fact is that, you know, in this cycle, in this circle, in the music scene, you know, it's all about relationships. It's all about relationships, you know. And it doesn't matter if it's, you know, club owners or, you know, other bands or media people like me. You know, keep good relations, you know, work hard and be honest with people that you work with, and things will continue to happen for you. So as we end out, gentlemen, anything I missed, any last words that you want to share with people in San Antonio and around the world who will see this interview? Yeah, let's pass the mic down.
No, man, just thank you all for the support, man, and thank you for your time. Rob, we appreciate you. It's pretty surreal, but we really, really thank you for your time and, you know, having us on, man. Appreciate you, and thank you to the fans, and thank you to our families.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you to our families who support us, who have our backs. It's not easy. Definitely not easy, but thank you so much.
Let me interject for really quick. Families, you always have to thank the families, because they are the ones that, you know, have to sacrifice, because they more than you, they sacrifice your time. You know, where's my dad at? He's out at a show. And my son, who's sitting right over there, my 22-year-old son is sitting over there. When he was a kid, you know, I'd go out and go videotape and interview bands, and, you know, he was at home with the mom. So, yeah. Oh God, that's a great point, Dan. Thanks for saying that.
Adding to that, yeah, thank you everybody who supported us, all the production labels, the recording companies. Thank you, Rob, for giving us your time and the opportunity and your platform to bring us out. This digital age is crazy, so I mean, it means something really for people to support us, for people to choose us when there's so many other musicians out there. And all I can say is, if you haven't caught a Meridian show yet, please come out, please catch one. We promise we do all we can to make the show fun for you guys, entertaining for you guys, to bring some energy and something that you haven't seen, or I mean, just something that you'll be able to talk about on Monday morning. That's our big goal, really.
First, I just want to thank you, Rob, for having us here. Thanks to my bros, John that couldn't make it. Thanks to everybody in the band for just being y'all. Fans, family, hope y'all enjoy the music we're putting out. Thank you for supporting us. Stay tuned for more because we're going to keep going.
Well, I just want to say I'm really grateful to be a part of this, and because like they said, like Daniel, I think Daniel said, everyone here is kind of seasoned in the scene, and I'm kind of the new guy here. So the first time I've ever played live was with these guys. So just growing up, and I know how big heavy metal and metal is in San Antonio, just growing up with my dad, and so just to kind of make a little mark in the scene. As a musician, it means a lot to me, and I know as a group, it means a lot. So I'm really grateful to be a part of it.
Yeah, Greg, you're fucking a part of it, man. You're a part of it now, and you will live on forever. Josh, keep throwing down hard on stage, man. Like I told you off camera, I love how you throw fucking down, bro. As a big man, you fucking showing all these little guys how to do it. Fuck.
Like I said, man, we put it all out there on stage, regardless. You know, if we've got a lot of people or a few people, we put it all out there no matter what.
I remember when I first saw it, I was like, damn, look at that dude. Fuck. He's throwing down. Yeah. Okay. Guys, great. You humble me. I love interviewing fucking cool bands. And I told you earlier, you wouldn't be on Rob's if I wasn't a fan. I'm a fucking fan. All you people out there, you should be fans too. If you don't know about Meridian, go check them out. Their videos are on YouTube. The EP will drop in a few months. Be sure to pick it up. If you need info on it, all you got to do is follow Rob's on Facebook. Remember, you saw the band called Meridian only right here on Rob's MetalWorks.